when you open up your Power BI back, it is not going to present the data to you at all. You might be having something like your queries haven't been applied. Do you want to apply or discard? Blah, 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 so on and so forth. All right. But what you want to do is you want to continue working on your data in the Power Query editor, isn't it? So all you have to do is just come up here and click your transform data. Okay. So currently your data is in this Power BI file, but it is stored in the Power Query editor because you have not loaded it inside the Power BI desktop. So to go back to the Power Query editor now is what we want to do. And you simply do that by clicking the transform data option here at the top of your ribbon. All right, so I'm going to click transform data. All right. Okay, beautiful. It says this preview may be up to 3 days old. There's no issue with that. I'm going to close this. I'm not refreshing anything. So where did we stop in the last class? Can someone help us? Where did we stop in the last class? Let's see if I can check that out. Who is helping us out? Can someone help us? Where did we stop in the last class? Nobody can remember. Okay, so we stop at text to column. That's splitting column. So okay, we did splitting column in Power Query. So today we are going to be looking at just a few more, but the few more can literally take the whole of our day today. Okay, it seems like it's a few more. Okay, what we're just looking at is date and time functions, then merging, and then appending. So you see those three, date and time functions, merging, appending. Those three alone can take the whole of our day today. But let's see how we can be fast about it. So once we're done learning these techniques, okay, we'll go ahead and discard the Power BI file. We'll now open up a new Power BI file. And you remember that data we cleaned in Excel the other time? Now we used to do some cleaning and analysis. We'll do the same thing here on Power Query. We'll see how we can work with that data on Power Query, how we can clean it, then load it into Power BI for maybe analysis or visualization. All right, so let's get started. Now we want to move on to date and time. Date and time functions. So for the date and time function, now for the date and time functions, okay, what do we want to grab? We have a date column. We want to grab the day number, month number, year, day name, month name, week day, week number, like that. Okay, so we might not need to get today or date difference. All right, these are things you can use DAX for easily rather than doing it in a Power Query. Okay, so anyone I don't teach you here, It's because I can make use of DAX in Power BI desktop to do that. Okay, so anyone we don't look at in the Power Query editor can easily be on in the Power BI desktop using DAX. So when we start looking at DAX, you'd see how that would go about. All right. So first thing first, I'm going to delete all these columns because remember, the Power Query is not a spreadsheet application such that you can probably click any cell and say you want to edit the value in it. Okay, it doesn't work that way. All right, so what you want to do is I'm going to delete all these columns are not necessary. I can select just this column, which is dates, and I'll tell it to remove other columns. I'll come to where I have remove columns, and I'll say remove other columns. Okay, so meaning remove other columns except the one selected. So I click it. You see that it will only keep the dates column. Other columns get removed. Now, for these dates, I'm going to click here to change the dates, data type to dates. Beautiful. So a proper data type. Now, what do we want to get? We want to get the day name, the month name, the day number, the month number. So let's start with those four first. Okay, so remember, I said something in the last class. All right, you can either convert that particular column to the format you want, or you can create a new column of it. Okay, so if I come to my transform tab, okay, and then where I have dates, I click on dates at the top here. I come to year. Let's get the year first. I click on year. It will convert that column to just the year. Okay, so that date is gone unless I delete the step here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and delete the step, but we don't want that. What we want is that, okay, create a new column for the year, or create a new column for the day name, or create a new column for the month name, whichever one it is. So how do we go about it? Oh, very simple. We're going to come to home, or add column rather. Okay, so under add column, you have the same date operation. So what the add column does is that, okay, whatever operation you want to do, it is going to do it by adding a new column to the data. All right, so add column, we're going to come to dates, and then let us add a new column for the year based on that date. So when I click here, you see now that I have a new column for year only. So if I want to do for the day name as well, or the month name, how do I go, or the month number? I'm going to click on dates. Under the add column, I'll come to date again, and I'll come over to month. Let's get the month. So this month will give me the month number. Okay, so you can see how it's easy to do here in Power Query without making use of all those formulas, isn't it? So I'm going to rename this month. I'm going to call it month number. Press enter. Right, then I'm going to do again under add column, dates. Okay, now it's not activated because I am currently, my month number is what is selected. I'm going to go back and select my dates. Okay, so you need to select your dates column. It needs to be your dates column that is selected. So after selecting your dates, come over to dates here, and then let's get the name of month. Okay, I'll click name of month. Beautiful. All right. So click this date again. Come up here. Now let us go for the quarter. Quarter of year. Quarter of year. I press quarter of year. I have 4, 1, 3, 1, 4, 3. So this is the quarter of the year. Okay. It looks nice having 4, 1, 3, 4. But what if I want Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, Q like that? Okay, meaning I want Q as well to appear there. And someone give me a suggestion onto how you think I can go about it based on what we've looked at in our data training techniques so far. And someone give me a suggestion. Find and replace. Okay, so what are we finding and what are we replacing? So we can find 4 and replace with Q4. Okay, then find 3 and replace with Q3. Then find 2 and replace with Q2. Then find 1 and replace with Q1. Okay, but that would be, what is it called? Like that's about 4 steps, isn't it? Okay, so that's a good idea. Yes, you can use that method, but there's a shorter method. Let's see another one. Double click on the column header and change the format. That won't do anything. How would that include a Q in the column? If you say we should just change the format of the data, how will that include a Q? Are you saying I should change it to text? If I change it from number to text, it doesn't add a Q. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, so these are the things I want to see. Go to formula bar, insert quarter. So where do you want to insert quarter? What part of the formula bar do you want to insert the quarter? Looking at this function here on the formula bar, what part do you know that you can insert quarter into? I said based on what we've been taught so far. So somebody just gave a very beautiful suggestion, one that I was actually expecting that would click in our mind automatically. Okay, so I can make use of column from example. It's very easy. Under my add column, I'm going to come to column from examples. I'll click this, and what I simply want to do is press Q4, because this quarter is quarter 4, isn't it? So I'm just going to type Q4. I press enter, and you can see automatically it gives me the suggestion that is this what I need. So if this is what I need, I go ahead and do what? Say okay. I did not have to do over and over again, find and replace and this thing. Your mind needs to be very sharp. Okay, because if you are taking an assessment during an interview, all right, yes, several methods might work, but then you also need to look at the time that you have. Okay, it is if you have enough time and you're not really time conscious, okay, you can afford the luxury of let me do it one by one and just enjoy myself. Okay. Why is someone? Is that ChatGPT? All right. So if I give you assignment or whatever, you can go ahead and ask ChatGPT. But one thing you need to know is that even if ChatGPT gives you a procedure to follow, if you don't understand the procedure, you won't be you won't be doing anything meaningful at the end of the day. What you just simply be doing is copy and paste. If you don't understand the procedure, when you are faced with such tasks, again. Without ChatGPT, you would fail woefully. So even if you are using ChatGPT, because I won't say you should not use ChatGPT, it's a word of AI. Okay, so as workers, you are even expected to even make use of AI to do what's it called? Make your work easier. I mean, why exactly do we have AI if it's not to ease off, the efforts, the process of doing work, isn't it? So I'm not all against don't use ChatGPT, but know how to make use of ChatGPT. There are some things you can think through yourself. If you start allowing ChatGPT to do the thinking for you, then you won't be helping yourself. Because in a real interview, what's it called? Imagine you are attending an interview, virtual interviews online, where they are seeing your screen, they are seeing how you are performing the operation and everything. Is that when you want to open ChatGPT on the side and okay? And then number two, whatever it is that ChatGPT is giving you, don't just follow and then forget. Look at the steps. What is ChatGPT saying here? Okay, so this particular step, why did ChatGPT say I should do this? What does this step, what does it do? It might give you 5 steps. You need to understand each step, what each step does. All right. So, so we have the merged quarter. So I can easily delete this one. Right click, remove. Then I'll rename this to quarter. All right. Then, I want to see something. Power BI. Power BI is very smart enough to detect that. Right. I think let's confirm something. Okay, so after quarter, what do we want to do next? So we want to take a look at the day number and day name now. Okay, so we're still on add columns, right? I want to come over to the date table or the date column. All right, and then dates and extract the day. So if I'm getting the day, it's giving me the day number. All right, so this is the day number. You can see that from your data. So my own date is formatted month, day, year. Okay, so it's easy to get out the day number. So this will be 6, this will be 5, 15, like that. So I can easily rename this and call this day number. All right. So if I want to get the name of the day as well, okay, so this particular date, was it a Monday or was it a Tuesday or was it a Wednesday? Something like that. Okay. I'll go back to my data, click dates, and I'll come over to my dates here. Remember, I'm still on which tab? The add column ribbon tab. So I'll come to where I have dates here, and I want to extract the day name. So that's the name of the day. So I'll click that. So that gives me my day name automatically. Okay. So what if you want to have the week day? Okay, for the day of week number. So is it the first day of the week, the second day of the week, the third day of the week? Because Sunday is, I think, 1. Either Sunday is 1 or Monday is 1, and it goes on like that. All right. So still on your date column, come over to date, come to day, and you click day of week. Okay. So that's day of week. All right. So I want to see something. I want to see something. So let's say I want to okay. I think I can leave that out. All right, so we're able to get the year, month number, the month name, quarter, the day number, the day name, the day of week, isn't it? So what else do we have? Okay, so today, I think we can get today in the Power BI desktop using DAX. Then we can also get we can also get which one again? The date difference as well. We can also get the date difference. I think you can also do it here if you have start date and end date, but we only have start date. We only have one date here. We don't have another date. So what we would have done if we have two dates, let's say for instance we have two dates, let me duplicate this column. So if I duplicate this column, so what I will most likely do is select the first one, press my control key and select the second one. If I come over to the dates, I should be able to subtract days. Okay, so and I should be able to get the earliest of the dates and the latest of the dates. But that is not our concern or our focus for now. Okay, I'm going to delete that last step. All right, so so for the remaining, you can easily make use of DAX, which is data analysis expression, in your Power BI desktop. Okay, very easily. So that is the date and time functions shown in Power Query Editor. All right, so do we have any questions before we move on to merging? So we want to take a look at merging now. So for this merging, you need to pay full attention. You need to pay careful attention for this merging. All right, you need to pay careful attention. So do we have any questions regarding the date and time before we move on to merging? If you have a question, can you signify? Else, I'd move on. All right, Hillary, a question, I believe. Yes, you can unmute yourself.
I want to just ask you if you can go back again on the text from example, column from example, something like that, so that one can actually get it once again.
No, I already showed that in the last class.
Okay,
it's not the first time I'm making use of it. I already showed that in the last class. So what don't you get from both last class and today? What don't you get from it?
It's fine. No problem. It's fine. I can. It's just because of time, but it's fine. I'll get through everything.
All right. Do we have any other questions? When I ask for questions, I'm not asking for can you repeat it again? Can you do this again? Okay, there's some steps that I would easily repeat again. Okay, but steps have already been taken twice. Number one, it's even expected that you should watch the video after each class. Okay, so column from example should not be a new thing to us at all. All right, so repeating every step is only going to take us back and reduce our pace. Okay, all right, so how do we rearrange this column? Okay, so that's a good question. Very easily, the same way you rearrange column in okay, no, you don't rearrange column in Excel. So what if you want to do that here, all you simply have to do is click and hold your column, the column header, and then drag. Okay, so click and hold, then drag to rearrange. You see that? So if you want to bring day name, click and hold, then drag, bring it over here. Do you see that? And that's how you rearrange the columns. Okay, that's how you rearrange the columns. So no other questions. I think we can move on to, all right, Beatrice Adamson.
Hello, good evening, class. Good evening,
Yeah,
Mr.
good
Malik.
evening.
Okay, so today when I was practicing, I noticed something I thought to bring to your attention or ask. So, say for example, I did the data cleaning, say using find and replace. Say maybe I looked for female and replaced with F, looked for male, replaced with M, looked for the other one and replaced with whatever it is. And everything was okay. Then I decided to go to the next data cleaning step. Let's assume formatting. When I go to formatting now, click on it, I'll discover that those changes I did on find and replace will not show. It goes back to the female, male, and the other one. I don't really see the F and M from the changes I made. I don't know.
All right, so the changes you made, is it on the same sheet or on a different sheet? Is it on the same table or on a different table?
I don't know. It should be on the same table, but it should be on the same table.
All right, so you initially were working on the find and replace table, isn't it?
Yes.
Good. So on the find and replace table, you did find and replace. So now when you go to formatting, is it the same data?
Yes, it's the same data I'm using. But when I look at the table, sorry, for the column for sex, I'll discover that the changes are not affected on that column.
If you are working on Excel, if you do a find and replace on this sheet, after you find and replace and it changes the female to F, male to M, and whatever, if you come to the formatting sheet, does the female change to F? Does the male change to M?
Yes, I think it should.
All right, so why do you think it should? So yeah, are you saying that if you find and replace on one sheet, it will change whatever you have on the entire Excel workbook?
That's my thinking.
This is where okay. So whenever you're making use of find and replace, it happens with respect to either the column you select or the particular sheet you are working on. Okay, so whatever changes you make on this sheet doesn't happen in the following sheet. This is a different data entirely.
Okay.
All right.
It's okay.
All right. So let's move on to merging. So I'm going to start with merge one. Very good, Mr. Hillary. So you don't change because it's on different sheets. Okay. So I'm going to start with merge one. All right. So what do I have on merge one? If I go through merge one, I think what they expect me to do is for this set of employees, I should grab their years at company, years in most recent role, years since last promotion, years with current manager. Okay, so how do I do that? If it was in Excel, how do I do that? This is the main data here. So the merge details has the whole data, everything, all the data. Okay, but you see that the merge details is not in the same order with the merge one. Okay, so for this set of employees, how can I get their detail, years at company, years in most recent role, blah blah blah, from the merge details table? So if it was in Excel and you are presented with this problem, how do you go about that? So only 2 people thought it's necessary to reply the question. So you want to grab the details, all right, for these respective employees. Okay, so for each one of them, you want to grab their years at company, years in most recent role, and so on, from another file or another sheet. So I said if it was in Excel, how do you go about that? How do you do that in Excel? All right, beautiful. So you make use of VLOOKUP, okay? So the VLOOKUP simply allows you to look up a value, okay, from maybe a different sheet or from a particular location in the same sheet, isn't it? Good. So really what the VLOOKUP is doing is that is merging your data, okay? It's merging the first data set to the second data set. So if you want to do that in Power Query, you have to use the merge queries option. You have to use the merge queries option. Okay, so it's very simple, all right? But if you don't pay attention, you'd miss it, okay? So let's see if we can go through it once and if everyone will get it. Okay, let's see that. So I'm going to start off by asking you. So as I'm asking the questions, I need you to respond. So that's what will allow you to understand it easily. Okay? So I have my merge details sheet. Okay? Merge details sheet. That's the complete data. And I have my merge one sheet. Okay, that's where I want to grab those columns. So first and foremost, I'm going to delete all these columns because they're entirely null. Okay, so what I want to bring into this data is the last 4 columns, which is years at company, years in most recent role, years in what's it called? It's current manager and one other one, isn't it? And I'm bringing it in from these merge details. Okay, so if you want to look up a value like that from one table to another table, all right, so what are the key things that you need first? Let's answer that first. So if you want to do let's say you want to do a VLOOKUP in Excel, what are the key things you need? So let's respond. Let's keep responding. Let's keep responding. Okay, beautiful. So from what I have so far, okay, I'm going to pick just, I think, three people or 3 answers. Okay, the first one is those people that said unique identifier. Beautiful. Either unique identifier. Okay, unique identifier. I love that. All right, good. Now, another one I'm going to select is the person that said table array. Beautiful. That is 2. Okay, the unique identifier, the table array. Then the person that said identifier on both sides. Now your unique identifier on one table has to appear on the other table as well. Okay, and I'm also going to accept the person that says something that is common on both sides. So if this was in Excel, I would also take into consideration the person that said column index number. All right, anything outside of that, not valid. Okay, absolute reference, yes, in your VLOOKUP, you use that. Okay, but the three key things I want you to note of is the identifier. Now, those people saying, so it just tells me that, okay, some people are really understanding the concept, okay, while some of us we are not understanding the concept. We are just storing in memory, okay, that particular data. Okay, if I ask you, okay, what are the key things? You should not say other ID. For instance, now on this table, we don't have other ID. So are you saying that we won't be able to work? So some people are saying the ID. It might not necessarily be an ID column. Okay, that's the reason why I said, okay, those people that say, okay, unique identifier. It might not be an employee ID or an other ID column. It might not even carry ID. Okay, but saying other ID is entirely wrong because you don't know the column that is the unique identifier. So correct that notion. So you need the unique identifier. Yes, beautiful. So also known as the key column. All right. So let's take note though. Let's take note and you see how easy it is to perform it yourself. All right. So now we know that we need a unique identifier. We need a table array which contains where the entire data is. Okay, those are the two things we need mainly. The two most important things we need: your unique identifier and your table array. So your table array is where your entire data is. All right. So now merge one is where I want to bring in those columns. Here at current row, here with current manager, blah blah blah. Okay. So now in merge one, what is my unique identifier in this data? What is my unique identifier? Please give me responses. I need as much responses as possible. What is the unique identifier on this table? All right, so nobody has a contrary opinion. Beautiful. Employee ID. So employee ID is the unique identifier, isn't it? Good. Now, next question. What is the table array? Let me see. So, what is the table array? Remember, I said the table array is where all your data is, where you want to grab from. So, what is the table array? Responses. What is the table array? Responses. What is the table array? Beautiful. Merge details is the table array. Beautiful. Merge details. Please pay attention. Okay, I said your table array is where your entire data is, where you want to grab an information from. Pay attention before giving answer. Okay, so kudos to you that said merge details. Beautiful. So now we've identified our unique identifier, which is employee ID. We've identified our table array, which is merge details. So what we are going to be doing is we're going to be merging this table, which is merge one, with the table array, which is merge details. We'll be merging the two of them based on which column? The unique identifier column, which is employee ID. So the final question you need to ask yourself is, okay, this unique identifier column, does it appear on your table array? I'll go to my table array, which is merge details. And here, it appears here as well, isn't it? So I can make use of the two of them. All right. So I can't zoom in Power Query. The best you can do is to zoom in on your own end. If you are using a phone, I would advise you to switch to a laptop. Okay. So now I have established that I want to merge one to details, isn't it? Using which column? Employee ID. So once you know that, beautiful. Now you will now select the table that you have incomplete data, or the table you need some data to appear in, which is merge one, isn't it? Now you go on to your home tab. Please pay attention. Oh. Remember, the first steps or the first 3 steps we did was identify your unique identifier, then know your table array, the table you will be merging with. Okay, so once you know those 2, you are good to go. So you come to your home tab, and then you come to where you have merge queries at the top here. Okay, so this is merge queries. I'll click on this drop down arrow, and I'll click merge queries as new. Merge queries as new. So I'll click merge queries as new. So meaning I want to merge queries. Now, remember I said queries are simply your table. So I want to merge the 2 of them, okay, into a new table. All right, so merge one. So the second table that I want to merge to this merge one, or the table I want to merge to this merge one, is merge details. So I'm going to select it from here. Okay, this is the first table, merge one. I'll come here and select the second table, which is merge details. Select that. So do you see this 2 now? All right, so the common column, the unique identifier you said before, is employee ID. So what you will do is to select it here, click on that column, okay, and then you click on the column in the second table as well. Do you see that? So it tells you the selection matches, blah, blah, blah. And then you go ahead and say what? Okay. So you will see now that it creates a new table below and calls it merge 2. Okay. Now on merge 2, let us see what we have. Employee ID, first name, last name, gender, age. If I scroll, after salary, I now have a new column called merge details. Do you see what it did? It has brought the merge details into my merge 1 and now called it merge 2. Okay, it has brought the merge details into merge 1. Okay, so now I have merge details in this table, but it is not merge details I really need. There are some columns in merge details that I want to get. So how do I now get the columns? How do I get them out? I'll click on this bidirectional arrow here. Once I click on it, it gives me the column names in merge details. Okay, so which column do I want to get? Years at company, years in most recent role, years since last promotion, years with current manager. So what I will do is I will deselect all. I will uncheck this one as well. I will now go and check only those columns that I need. Years at company, years in most recent role, years since last promotion, years with current manager. Then I will click OK. And it brings it here automatically. So my data now has the years at company, years in most recent role, years since last promotion, years with current manager. Initially, it did not. But the original data, it wasn't there. Okay, just top as salary. Remember, 24 rows. So in my merge 2, the same 24 rows of data, okay, but this time around I've been able to bring in their respective years at company, years in most recent role, years since last promotion, years with current manager. So that is for merging the employee details. Okay, so to understand it better, all right, we're going to look at another merging operation. Okay, this time around, merging other details and merging pizzas. Okay, so if I go through the merging pizzas, it says empty 90 cells, 90%, all true. So let's remove blank rows first. I think they are blank rows. I'm going to come up here and say remove blank rows. All right, so now here, what do I want to do? Take note of merging pizzas. Then take note of merging other details. Okay. So, merging pizzas, merging other details.
Yeah.
All right. So, not just because it has details in the name that you know that, okay, that is your table array or anything. You need to read your data and know, okay, from which table am I grabbing into the second table? So now look at other details. I have other details ID, order ID, pizza ID, the quantity that was bought, the date it was bought, the time it was bought. Then for merging pizzas, I have the pizza ID, the name of the pizza, the category of the pizza, the size of the pizza, the price of the pizza. So, which one is my main table between these two? And which one is my table array? Oyinlola, you don't have the merging pizzas and other sheets below merging pizzas in your workbook. You don't know why. Okay, so the reason why you don't have it is because you did not grab it from when you were importing data. Okay, so when I showed us how to import data from last class, all right, if you check the box, merging other details, merging pizzas, okay, if you check those boxes, it will show up here. Okay, so Power BI is not one that if you do something, it won't appear so. All right, so what it means, it's an implication statement. So what it means is that you did not check the box. Very simple. But what do you want to do? You grab the data and this time around you check the box. Okay, simple as A, B, C. All right, so the main table is what? So what is the main table? And what is my table array? So let me hear. Please type. So what is the main table? What is my table array? Let me see who is going to get this. So some people are using, okay, let's see. So keep it coming. As if I need to confuse us. So because in the last one, the one that had details was our table array. Most of you now feel like it is the same thing here. The one with other details will be your table array. But read the data. Read the data. On the order details data, you have the individual orders made per transaction. Okay? Now, you are having this is the data or the table that contains your transaction. So for each transaction, okay, what do you have here? Pizza ID. But you don't have the price. You don't have the pizza name. You don't have the category. You don't have the size of the pizza. Okay? So other details here, merging order, this table is my main table. Okay? Because it is the one that contains my main data, my data of transactions. The second one, pizza, just contains the product table. It does not contain anything on transaction. It just gives me the pizza name, the category of pizza, the size, and the price. So these are the things that we have in our inventory. So if I want to know how much a particular sale made, I need to get the price of this pizza ID from which table? The pizzas table. So do you now see that the merging pizzas is your table array, and while merging other details is your main table? Okay? So you need to read your data. It is not just about the naming. Okay, because this one had merging, this one had details. That's why I knew that was going to confuse us. I wanted to see those that are that can easily read between the lines. So it is not by the naming of the sheets. Okay. Oh. Now that we know that merging pizzas is our table array, merging other details is our main table. So how do we go about combining them? So remember the steps. I'm taking the second time now. Click on your main table, which is merging other details. Okay? Okay, beautiful. So now, what column am I going to use to merge them? So what is the unique identifier? Beautiful. Pizza ID. Beautiful. So click on your main table, which is this, right? Then go up to merge queries as new. Okay, then select your table array. I'll select it by clicking here, merging pizzas. Then the common column is what? Pizza ID, pizza ID. Then I'll select OK. Do you see that? And you are done. So you have been able to merge it into a new data set called merge 3. Okay, so now if you scroll to the right, do you see that? It has brought your table array into your main table. So what you will now do is to do what? Is to expand and grab the columns that you need. So expand this and grab the columns you need. Pizza ID. No, I don't need pizza ID. I just need the name, the category, size, and the price. Then I will say OK. Oh, something just came to my mind, in fact. So I think what I would do, since the submission of the Excel project deadline is today, I'm going to close it, as I said, after the class. What I would do is the data sets we cleaned then in Excel, maybe I will resend it. So you have to clean that same data set in Power BI, your Power Query. You clean it, you merge it. Yes. And then you do a little bit of visualization, maybe just one visualization to confirm that what you did is correct. Yes, that's what we will do. And then you submit your Power BI file. That's what we will do. That's what we will do. All right. So we've been able to merge and grab the columns that we need. So you see that for each order or for each transaction now, I know the pizza name that was bought. I know the category that was bought. I know the size that was bought. I know the price of the pizza that was bought. I know the time. I know the date it was bought. Do you see that? Beautiful. So let's look at removing duplicates before we move on to the final one, which is appending. So come to the removing duplicates sheet over here. Removing duplicates. So I don't need these last 3 columns or last 5 columns. Remove columns. So just this column, names. Now on this column, you notice that there's some duplicates there. There's some duplicates there. So how do you remove duplicates on one column? Just select that column. Okay. You can come up to where you have remove rows and then say remove duplicates. And you see that it removes it automatically. Okay. But when you have a much larger data set, let's say removing duplicates 2. Okay. This is a much larger data set, isn't it? On removing duplicates 2. So how do I remove duplicates from this data? First, click any cell or any box. Okay. Then press Ctrl A to highlight all the columns. What did I say again? Click any cell, press Ctrl A to highlight all the columns, just the same way you do in Excel. Then you now go ahead and remove duplicates. So you come over to where you have remove rows, and then you say remove duplicates. And that's all. So unlike Excel, Power Query will not tell you how many duplicates were removed. Okay? But you just have to trust that yes, it has removed the duplicates. All right. So that is for removing duplicates. Now let us go on to appending. Appending. So can someone, let me see if there's anybody that maybe has an idea about appending. All right. Let's remove blank rows. Quickly see that there's so many empty. So I'll come over to rows, remove blank rows. So now, can someone tell me, what do you think appending is? What does it mean to append? So appending is to add rows after the last row of the data set. Beautiful. The process of merging multiple tables into one by combining the rows from each table. Good. Beautiful. So we have the idea. Okay, so how I like explaining it to my students is just think of it like you are putting one table on top of another table. So where this table ends, okay, where this table ends, you go ahead and add a new table under it again, provided they have the same column name and the same column data type. Okay, why is this necessary or why is this useful? It is useful in the case where you have multiple sheets of the same data type or the same columns, For instance, when you have sales data, here I have